in some sense, you could say all of engineering is about design. I mean, engineering is based on the idea that we have a goal of something we want to accomplish, and then we find ways to do that. So, is explicitly a so you might think that think it's planned and blind and so on. Finding that a lot of the engineering times work really well. Getting to the point, let's adopt the fiction of that this is by a master engineer, then think like an engineer of how reverse engineer this. It quantitative predictions for biology. For reasons, yeah, I think that inertia, that is the prevailing, is the atheist paradigm. People don't want to question, but I also say, as I talked about in my talk, people who have a genuine fear that if you allow God, if you even open a crack in the door, will just return to medieval superstition. And so they will talk about people being anti-science by bringing in, and I think there's a genuine fear that will be, going back to burning witches and, seeing poor goose on trails and so on, that has been done, right? That's what science grew out of, that superstitious background, and it was through that out. Secular atheists, it was Reformed Christians, superstition, and the way we think about things. The high value on not just believing everything you hear was that drove information and some people, like I said, just against changing the paradigm, but I think other people fear letting Christianity or theism or take us right back to the Dark Ages, and they believe that. I think there's two domains, religion. I believe they're not nothing. I think that they have a lot of that. You could say within science, science. So you have one who would say, you're false. In the religious sphere, religious people critique other, and even within Christianity, you have a lot of theology critiquing and say, well, you're just doing it. Here's the argument, and so on. With those kind of internal, but in the world, a unified world, we're in the truth. I think we need to cross-disciplinary critiques at a and tend to be one or the other of these. So, on the one hand, I would say allowing science to critique your education based on scientific results, such as we heard about with older theism. Very, very. On the other hand, it makes theistic evolutionists very happy to say whatever the that, and we'll adjust our religion to accommodate it. I would say allowing religion to critique Adam and Eve on the basis of texts. Other people very uncomfortable, and makes young happy. And actually, what I'm arguing for is both directions. To say that sometimes a very good scientist comes along. Maybe I've been misinterpreting these scriptures, and sometimes a very good religious argument comes along to say maybe misinterpreting. Sometimes left with 10, who has the upper hand here. But I would all types of sort of an internal critique within religion, and each critiquing the other. Part of what we do is seeking truth. In terms of me, it's very collegial. I've never had somebody, at least, attack me. But it hasn't hindered my science at all. They've had conversations with people over a beer at a conference on talking. Most that I've talked with somewhere on the religious spectrum, whether it be sort of Einstein, absentee God that don't go to church spectrum. So at I have seen that to be a problem. That in some sense it hasn't been as critical an issue for me. It's not, so to speak, public things on numerical, and we'll say, well, I don't really buy that. But when I've sat down and talked with people in biophysics and like what I did, conversations are like, well, in catch-22, so you never know. Politically, I felt a huge amount of pushback, and part of it is just because it's my main area of activity. School, and at that time, I'm very comfortable with evolution. Evolution. And actually, while I was there in biophysics, I believe he was a conservative professor, and he walked us through all of the line of life, and there was no sort of theological, just sort of the fine-tuning of tunneling rates and things like that. It had to be just possible. I remember talking about inspiration, the fact that we can breathe air depends on exponentially sensitive tunneling rates. So tunneling is an exponentially sensitive process. So if you go a little bit too low, it's shut, and you have any respiration. A little bit, and you burn. And it's got to be just exactly right. And of course, fine-tuning, which we now see all over the place in biology, that's right at that critical point. And so that really got me thinking. I remember coming out not by Christians, who is a popular science talking about the line of nature, and it was a tipping point for me. Was over in a scientific article, and it was assessing all the different origins when this came out. I looked at discarded, saying, well, this has been, all these things. It was a very honest look. Article saying, well, what's left? Discredited. Well, the only viable theory that's left is that aliens from outer space, brought life. I just about threw it across the room, and I'm like, you know what? I am no longer in of anything. If that's the best that they can do, then lots of alternatives, and yet it was being presented. People talk Richard embracing this, saying that the problem is in aliens from outer space that brought it down, and I'm like, the best you can do is just like giving up. I would each evolution of it, and it's funny because many people will say, well, it's critique in class and so on, and that may you want to do it class or something. Is a myth of science that is there, say, and viable alternative deterministic scientific program to replace one with, then you have no valid critique. And this is absolutely not the way science works. A lot of times in science, poses a explanation for this. And sit down, it won't work. I don't have anything to replace. No. All the time, it's not my job to tell you what the replacement is. Telling me a theory, and I'm telling you it won't work. The idea, people know evolution other than religion, simply not the critique. So theory that will know what it is, and then teach scientific critiques of it. Sense it's a question, which is, well, what is the alternative? With invoking miracles, I think that I would teach, leave that to the religion class, but a class that explanation